You finally earned the freedom of retirement, but you may be facing the hardest choice of all, doing anything or doing nothing. For decades, the goal was pretty clear, right? A wide open calendar, a life free from the daily grind. But what if that very freedom is the source of a new, kind of hidden anxiety? It's a surprising paradox, but the truth is, for a lot of people, too much unstructured free time actually leads to a real decline in well-being. So in this explainer, we're gonna dive into why the freedom you've worked so hard for can sometimes feel so overwhelming, and more importantly, what you can do about it. So here's our game plan. We'll walk through these 6 key ideas together. First, we'll unpack that freedom paradox. Then we'll talk about something called the work script and why losing it is such a big deal. After that, we'll get to the good stuff, how purpose is the new paycheck. And then we'll get practical with building your new structure. We'll wrap up by looking at why discipline is true freedom and send you off with your next chapter's mission. Sound good? Let's get started.
All right, first up, let's explore this strange conflict that so many retirees feel but don't always talk about, this paradox of freedom.
You know the dream of retirement you've had in your head for years? Endless relaxation, travel on a whim, no schedule to be seen. But for many, the reality that sets in can be, well, different. It can feel a little like being adrift, you know? That subtle but constant feeling of anxiety that comes from not having an anchor. The dream of total freedom clashes with our very real, very human need for structure. And that's where the stress comes from. And this right here is the absolute key. The problem isn't the gift of time itself, it's the lack of a framework for that time. And I really want you to hear this. This feeling isn't a personal failure. It's not a sign that you're bad at retirement. It's a completely normal psychological response. For decades, our lives were structured for us. When that scaffolding is suddenly gone, we have to learn how to build our own. So where did that original structure come from anyway? To really understand the void you might be feeling, we need to look at what you actually lost when you left your job. And trust me, it's a lot more than just a place to go every day. Think about it. For most of our adult lives, we've been guided by an unspoken work script. It was like the invisible architecture of our week. It told us when to wake up, what problems to solve, who we were going to talk to. It gave us deadlines that created urgency and goals that gave us a sense of meaning. It was this automatic, pre-written structure for our time and, for a lot of us, our identity. When you lay it all out like this, you see that a job gives you so much more than a paycheck. It's a ready-made structure, a professional identity, a daily purpose, built-in social connections, and a steady stream of challenges to keep your mind sharp. These things are all connected. So when you suddenly lose that entire script, it can create this profound void, and that's what feeds that feeling of aimlessness. Here's the bottom line. Our brains are like muscles. They need to be used to stay strong. They're built to solve problems, to learn, to engage with the world. So, to keep our minds sharp and resilient in retirement, we can't just flip the off switch. We have to become our own personal trainers in a way, finding new, self-directed ways to keep our minds active and challenged every day. Okay, this brings us to what might be the single most powerful idea for navigating this whole transition. It's a total shift in how you think about what you're earning now. I love this idea. Let's just say it again. Purpose is the new paycheck. It's what provides the value, the identity, and the structure that a salary used to. It's the new currency of your well-being. It's the reward you get for investing your time wisely. And believe me, it pays dividends in mental clarity and fulfillment that no amount of money can buy. And the great news is you can find this new paycheck of purpose in 2 main areas. The first is contribution, using all the wisdom and skills you've gathered to give back. That could be anything from volunteering to mentoring. The second is mastery, really dedicating yourself to learning something new and challenging, like an instrument, a language, or a craft. Both give you that essential feeling of growth and progress. But here's the secret sauce that makes it all work. These can't just be vague hobbies you'll get to someday. To really replace the structure of a job, you have to treat them with that same level of importance. That means scheduling them in your calendar as non-negotiable appointments. This simple act tells your brain this matters, and it builds your belief in your own ability to get things done. It's absolutely crucial for reducing that stress of unstructured time.
All right, so that's the what and the why. Now let's get into the how. We're going to look at a simple 3-part strategy you can use to build this new structure for yourself, starting today.
We're going to break down these 3 core habits and think of them less as rigid rules and more like tools in your toolbox.
They all work together to create a sustainable, engaging daily rhythm that you design and you control.
First things first. You know that old saying about putting the big rocks in the jar first? That's what we're doing here. You need to anchor your week with those purpose activities we just talked about, your contribution and mastery pursuits. Those are your big rocks. You put them in the calendar before anything else, which guarantees the most important things get done. Just take a look at this example. All of a sudden, your calendar stops being this empty, intimidating space and becomes the blueprint for your new, purposeful life. Here, Monday morning is for mastery with a language class. Wednesday is for contribution with volunteering. By scheduling these first, purpose becomes your default, not an afterthought. Everything else, errands, coffee with friends, just fills in the gaps around these anchors. Okay, next up, how you start your day is everything. For years, the morning commute created a natural transition between home and work. We need to create a new, intentional one for ourselves. Your transition hour is the first 60 minutes of your day, and this time is sacred. It starts with some light movement, a walk, some stretching, just to wake up your body. Then you look at your purpose anchor calendar and remind yourself what the day holds. You set one simple, positive intention. And, this is critical, you protect this time from distractions. No news, no email, no social media. This simple routine primes your brain for an active, purposeful day. And finally, with your anchor set and your morning on track, you can start designing the rest of your day. This just means you consciously decide how you're going to invest your time, which is the key to preventing the hours from just, well, disappearing.
This chart gives you a pretty good idea of what a balanced, intentional day could look like. Notice that passive leisure, like watching TV or scrolling online, is a pretty small slice of the pie. It has its place, for sure, but it's limited. Why? Because our brains don't get real engagement from it. The biggest piece is dedicated to those purpose activities you've already scheduled. By blocking your time, you decide what your day looks like.
Now, I get it. Hearing words like discipline and schedule might make you think, hey, isn't that what I retired from? But if we can shift our perspective a little, we can see that this new structure isn't a chore. It's actually the highest form of self-care.
And this is that beautiful, kind of counterintuitive idea we've been leading up to. True freedom isn't a blank calendar. That can just be chaos. True freedom is having the energy, the mental clarity, and the vitality to really enjoy your time. And that comes from the discipline of having a good structure. By adding these anchors, you create the mental space to savor your unscheduled time without that nagging feeling that you should be doing something. You know, every time you go to that language class or show up for your volunteer shift, you're doing more than just passing the time. You are actively making an investment in your long-term brain health. You're building what neurologists call cognitive reserve. Think of it like a mental savings account. The more you deposit through active learning and engagement, the more resilient your brain becomes. This is how you make sure retirement is defined by vitality, not by decline.
Okay, let's bring this all home with one final core lesson and a really simple challenge that you can take on the minute this is over. If there's one idea to hold on to from all of this, let it be this one. Your time is a resource to be invested, not just spent. Spending it passively lets it drift away, but investing it in purpose, that creates returns you can't measure in money, fulfillment, sharpness, and joy. Structured purpose is the antidote to the anxiety of unstructured time. So I want you to just pause for a second right now. What is your one thing? It doesn't have to be some huge plan, just one activity, big or small, that gives you a real sense of either contribution or mastery. Maybe it's dusting off that old guitar. Maybe it's looking up the number for the local animal shelter. Just identify one thing. And here's your challenge. Don't just let that thought float away. Open your calendar on your phone or on the wall and schedule it. Give it a time and a day. Treat it like a doctor's appointment you absolutely cannot miss. This one small, concrete action is the most powerful first step you can take in setting the course for your most fulfilling chapter yet. So to wrap this all up, that quiet anxiety of retirement, it's solved by replacing the lost structure of work with intentional purpose. And the most helpful way to start is by picking that one non-negotiable habit, something in the world of contribution or mastery. By defining your new mission, you're not just filling time. You are actively choosing to build years of engagement, mental sharpness, and true fulfillment. You are designing your own best chapter.